Alright, I know that the Fantastic Four video won the poll, and trust me, I will get to that video because I want to do it. I just, wanted to do this one first, and it's going to take a little bit longer for the other one to get made. Just so you know, in the future, those polls are not like 100% indicative of what's going to happen. It's just like me trying to suss out like what ideas are more popular with people. So remember the last time I did a poll, I did like basically none of the videos on there. In the meantime, enjoy this video essay about Better Call Saul, something that is so uncommon in the fall of 2022. Better Call Saul is a fascinating piece of television. It's a prequel to one of the most widely acclaimed TV dramas of all time, Breaking Bad, but it doesn't try to be a copy of that show or what it was trying to do. While Breaking Bad is a fast-paced, violence-heavy action drama that focuses on the seedy underbelly of the crime world, Better Call Saul is slower and more character-driven, though it does definitely have elements of that violence and crime drama in it. It takes so many characters from Breaking Bad with known fates and tells new stories that inform and improve who they are in the original show, making their identity more distinct. And nowhere is this more obvious than with the titular character Saul Goodman, aka Jimmy McGill. Jimmy is someone who starts a series genuinely wanting to do good. He's a public defender, he helps his brother Chuck with his own illness, and generally his only real goal is to get respect from those around him. However, he does have a dark side, a side of him that takes pleasure in cutting corners, a side people in his life refer to as Slippin' Jimmy. No, get out of here, demon! Over the course of the show, we see this side of Jimmy start to become more prominent, as his habit of scamming people starts to become almost a compulsion or addiction. He even starts going by the name Saul Goodman as a part of his scam lawyer persona, diving headfirst into a life of helping criminals like the Salamanca family due to the almost systemic way he's pushed out of the legal world, through a combination of bad circumstances, bad actors, and his own flaws. It's a development that, by the point where this essay starts, we've been watching for almost 5 seasons. A slow fall from grace, much like Breaking Bad. But then the show does something interesting. Before we get there though, we have to talk about some other key players. First of all, there's Lalo Salamanca, who, while being a late player to the game, is perhaps one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. As you may have guessed, Lalo is a member of the Salamanca crime family, the leaders of the drug cartel in this universe. Now, Lalo has had his own series of exploits throughout the show, including but not limited to murder, stalking, less than legal private investigations, and even faking his own death, all in a long campaign against his enemy, Gustavo Fring. But before all of that came to a head, Lalo became familiar with Jimmy, or as he knew him, Saul Goodman. And he learned that Jimmy was someone who he could trust to not go to the police when he got involved with something criminal. So, in the final part of his scheme, he heads to Jimmy's house to get him involved. But before we get there, we need to talk about Kim Wexler. Throughout the series, Kim has been Jimmy's friend, love interest, biggest supporter, and partner in crime. She serves as an excellent foil to Jimmy because while he always somehow manages to get himself into trouble, Kim on the other hand is much more on the straight and narrow, by the book, someone who is a great contrast to Jimmy and his antics. Throughout the course of Jimmy and Kim's romantic relationship, Kim's story has been about fighting the good and legitimate fight through the legal system, while Jimmy finds himself dipping more and more into the criminal element. Kim has always been perfectly morally sound, with one major exception: the scams. Like I said, Jimmy has a knack for scamming people. It's been his hobby since long before he was even a law student, being so notorious that he earned the name Slippin' Jimmy within his own hometown, for a particular conniving scam where he pretended to slip on icy roads to make a quick buck. Even now, when in the mood, he'll occasionally find a mark in a bar, usually a hedge fund douche type or someone similar, and scam them out of some expensive drinks. Pretty harmless, right? So at some point, Jimmy started bringing Kim along into it. And since this was right as their romantic relationship was starting, It became a regular thing, almost a form of date night for them. Eventually, the scam started to get a lot more elaborate, with Kim and Jimmy executing plans with mousetrap levels of intricacy to do things like help a man save his home from being bulldozed, or getting a new branch of Kim's law firm approved for construction. It's incredibly fun to watch as an audience member, but more importantly, it's fun for the couple. They bond over it and allows Kim in particular to let loose during her very uptight life. Everything is going just peachy until the pair decide to pull their biggest scam yet. Their target? Howard Hamlin. Howard Hamlin is an interesting aspect of this show because for the majority of the runtime, you're not really sure how you're supposed to feel about him. In season 1, he's presented as a villain, and to be fair, he is kind of a dick. However, a lot of that is just about his mannerisms. He doesn't actually do a whole lot to act in the role of a villain. The one major bad thing that he does is not allow Jimmy into his law firm, Hamlin, Hamlin & McGill, aka HHM. But it comes to light that that was at the wishes of Jimmy's own brother, Chuck, who is the McGill in Hamlin, Hamlin & McGill. Jimmy and Chuck's whole relationship is its own full can of worms that could honestly be a video in of itself. But the SparkNotes version is that Chuck is an antagonist to Jimmy's protagonist. And by proxy, Howard is seen as Chuck's accomplice. And so after Chuck dies, Howard is all that is left of his villainy. So there's this latent animosity towards him on the audience and Jimmy's parts. And since Kim is not only in Jimmy's corner, but she has her own issues with Howard that are a little bit more complex than I want to get into right now, it seems only natural that she would be the one to suggest Howard as a target. So, they get to work. Throughout the first half of season 6, we see Kim and Jimmy's plan play out. They start rumors that Howard is a drug addict. They plant cocaine in his locker at his country club. And Jimmy even dresses like Howard and steals his car in order to make a scene with a prostitute in front of one of Howard's colleagues. I was not kidding when I said that these scams got elaborate. But as with all the scams thus far, at this stage it's not entirely clear why they're going through all this trouble. The show has a habit of dropping you into the middle of a scam without much explanation, allowing you to see the puzzle pieces fall into place for yourself. You become accustomed to not knowing why Jimmy and Kim are doing what they're doing. Not right away at least. And so in this case you follow the same line of reasoning. This time though, it feels off. In the past, targets of scams have been singular douchey characters or have been faceless entities like the legal system or the law firm. And to the audience, Howard is a dick, but he hasn't really done anything all that wrong. But you know, Kim, the straight and narrow moral compass, suggested this scheme, and you don't know what the full picture is yet, so you're sure it'll make sense soon. Right? Surely there's a justifiable reason for them to be targeting this man. This brings us to the main episode we're talking about today. Season 6, Episode 7, Plan and Execution, where everything comes to a head. Kim and Jimmy, through a series of perfectly planned and set up dominoes, make Howard look as though he is high on cocaine and paranoid at the mediation session for a class action lawsuit. Not just any old class action lawsuit either. It's the Sandpiper retirement home suit, a case that Jimmy has been attached to as a beneficiary, which means that he'll get a huge payout if HHM settles, which Howard's behavior at the meeting forces them to do. That's it? Jimmy and Kim get money? That's the whole goal of this operation? Okay, I mean, still odd, but at least they didn't cause too much damage. Howard will be fine, right? Later that night, while Jimmy and Kim are celebrating their victory at home, they get a knock at the door. They know who it is, the audience knows who it is, it's Howard, you know it's Howard. As the door opens, the draft causes a candle to flicker and Howard enters the apartment, looking awful.
Sorry to interrupt this, but I brought you a gift.
A gift? What's the occasion?
Your brother and I, we always had a meeting with Mr. McCallan after a big victory. Usually some brilliant summation by Chuck, that goes without saying. So this is for you. You earned it.
Jimmy and Kim both play dumb, but Howard knows what they've been up to. He knows that Jimmy gets involved in scams like this all the time, and he knows what Jimmy stands to gain. So he sarcastically congratulates the pair on a job well done, and even on their ability to gaslight him. He then cuts to the root, the real reason why he's here.
What do you tell yourselves? What justification makes it okay? Howard's such an asshole, he deserves it?
We're good.
So? What is it? What allows you to do this to me? Because this isn't just a prank. No. This goes beyond throwing bowling balls on my car. This took planning, coordination. I mean, how many weeks? Or was it months? It couldn't have been easy. So tell me, why?
It's really taking all of my power and the power of the copyright protection system on YouTube to not just play this whole scene because it's just so good. You need to watch this show, man. Howard expresses disbelief that even Jimmy would go to such depths as to burn Howard's career to the ground. Jimmy breaks character a little bit, expressing disbelief that Howard will even be affected by this in the long run. At this, Howard concedes a little bit.
Even though I humiliated myself, and my clients and peers will whisper that Howard Hamlin's a drug addict, you're right. I've worked my way through worse. Debt, depression, my marriage falling apart. Oh, yeah. Been sleeping in the guest house for the better part of a year. Just one more thing good old Howard has to work through.
Even if you didn't notice the hints at this earlier on in the show, this does put a lot of things into perspective. Howard really isn't this ivory tower dwelling upperclassman that Jimmy and Kim seem to think he is. He's going through his own problems that Jimmy and Kim have made markedly worse. But he'll be fine. He'll recover. Something that he himself points out.
I will be okay. But you? Far from it. You too. You two are soulless. Jimmy, you can't help yourself. Chuck knew it. You were born that way. But you, one of the smartest and most promising human beings I've ever known. And this is the life you choose. Jimmy
decides that's enough and suggests calling Howard a cab. The argument heats up a bit until Howard finally realizes the answer to his question.
I thought you did it for the money, but now it's so clear. Screw the money. You did it for fun. You get off on it. You're like Leopold and Loeb, two sociopaths.
All right, that's enough.
Howard continues on his spiel and exclaims how he's going to dedicate his life to exposing Kim and Jimmy for what they've done and who they are. He's going to show the world the true extent of their actions. And then the candle flickers. The door opens, and in a rush of utter shock and fear, Jimmy and Kim realize who has entered the apartment.
Howard? Howard, you need to leave.
Bet you forgot about Lalo Salamanca, huh? In a cruel twist of fate, this is the exact moment that Lalo has come to recruit Jimmy and Kim into his vendetta against Gus, and the entire dynamic of the scene shifts. Up until this point in the show, the two plot lines of the criminal underworld and the legal world had been kept completely separate. Unless of course you count Jimmy himself, who has interacted with both sides. Seeing Lalo and Howard in the same room in the same shot is like seeing two completely different characters from two completely different shows meet. It's like one of those Disney Channel show crossovers that they do sometimes. But this is much scarier than Lab Rats vs. Mighty Med because Lalo needs Jimmy and Kim, but he doesn't need Howard. Howard is a loose end who is tragically unaware of the position that he's in.
Who are you?
Me? Nobody. I just need to talk to my lawyers.
Oh, is that right? You want some advice? Find better lawyers.
Howard, please just turn around.
No. Take your time.
What's this about?
And then
I think I'm in the middle of something. There's really no need to...
Oh my God! No! Oh my God! No!
Okay. Let's talk.
that was the ending of the mid-season finale of Better Call Saul Season 6. When this episode first aired, there was a whole month until the next one was released, and we found out what happened, giving viewers ample time to stew in what had just taken place. And I believe that this was intentional, because it revealed something very important to the viewers. The show had deceived them. In a very Slip and Jimmy-esque style, the show had pulled the wool over their eyes, over our eyes, in order to make its point crystal clear. For the entire season so far, the show had gotten you to root for two people scheming to ruin someone's life. Someone who in the great scheme of things was guilty of nothing, except for being condescending and sometimes somewhat mistrustful of someone who his own friend didn't trust. All of this was done because they personally didn't like Howard for financial gain, and most importantly for the thrill of a successful con. Like they had done so many times before. It's a thrill that you as the audience participate in, because it is fun. It's fun to watch a mystery unfold before your very eyes, especially when no one is getting hurt that doesn't deserve it. The show has instilled almost this Pavlovian response to the viewer to root for a couple of scam artists so that when your target is someone innocent, you don't notice it until it's too late. And no one is more aware of this than Kim. Even though the legal and criminal worlds have been kept separate thus far, Jimmy has brushed up with the criminal underbelly in pretty substantial ways before, such as the events of the season 5 episode Bagman. Kim, however, has never even seen anything approaching this scale firsthand. It's a complete shock for her, one that brings her to reality and really grounds her in what she and Jimmy have done. It's the reality that causes her to break up with Jimmy just 2 episodes later, and that reality is this. Howard Hamlin loses so much because of Jimmy and Kim's antics, including his own life. Because if they didn't pull what they did, and if Jimmy didn't get mixed up in the cartel, he wouldn't have died a loose end, a footnote in Lalo's agenda, and he wouldn't be remembered as a drug addict by those closest to him. And by having you as the audience root for the circumstances leading up to it, it puts you in Kim and Jimmy's shoes. Because remember how they justified it.
Howard, come on. You'll be fine. You always land on your feet.
They didn't recognize the consequences of their actions, or at least they chose not to recognize those consequences because it would ruin the fun of their game. And as the old saying goes, it's all fun and games until someone loses their life. I finally did it. I finally made a video about Better Call Saul. You knew it was coming once I did that one Breaking Bad video. You knew it. You knew it was coming. But I am glad to be able to talk about this show during a time where it's still so fresh in the cultural landscape and there isn't already 300,000 video essays about it. There's only 200,000. But I do think that this show really is special, and hopefully, even though I've spoiled one of the biggest spoilers in the show, if you've never seen it, I hope that this convinces you to watch it. Also, if you like this video, feel free to like and share and comment and stuff like that, all that jazz, to appease the algorithm gods. If you're new, feel free to stick around. Why not subscribe and then check out the whole playlist of video essays that I've got just like this. It'll keep you entertained for a couple hours at least. Subscribing is great because it helps me get out videos like this more and more as I, can. And it just helps me personally and the channel so much, so I really appreciate you for doing that if you did do it. I have other socials, including my community Discord server, which are all linked in the description below. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that I made your day just that little bit better. And I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
It wouldn't take away from the fact that the
I
defendant...
am not crazy!
I am not crazy.
Have some more chicken, have some more pie.